Assalamu alaikum. My name is Salim Siddiqui and you're watching a series of videos from hotconflict.com, and we're talking today about the importance of the great Eid celebration, Eid al-Akbar, or the great celebration of the Muslims. As you know, we've been addressing the issue that Muslims all over the world are gathered together and they go in celebration to pray and bow their head in worship of the one true Lord. And at the same time, the holy house in Mecca in the Arabian Peninsula is blessed with millions of worshippers from all over the world who gather to go around the holy house of the Lord there, the one said to be built by Abraham and his son Ishmael, as you already know. And if you don't know the reference to Abraham and Ishmael, go back and look at some of the past videos. Well, we're at that point again in the story, or in the setup of this series, where I had to make the disclaimers. I said that one of the things we always do on the hotconflict.com website, and one of the things that we're trying to do by this series, is use the technology and methods of modern communication and the internet, of spreading communication and telling a story in a way that has not been done before, and giving you the information and using the terms in a way that you've probably never heard before. And so yes, that's something that we always do at the hotconflict.com website. But I told you, if you're on this journey right now and you're listening to the story of the truth about those who are searching for the light, and you're understanding the tale that I'm telling you, well, I've got some major disclaimers, because as I've said every time, that the story is more amazing than you can imagine. If that has always been the case as I continue to tell the tale, then it must be true that as I go on, the story must get even more amazing and dramatic. And perhaps, I dare say, you might find something in this story that actually shows you why you are particularly still listening to this. If it is really the first time that someone is telling you the story of the truth of what's really going on for the first time in the English language, then this is possibly a monumentous event. But perhaps this is too strange for you, and so let's not digress. We'll come to the stranger things later. But since we're always talking about interesting concepts, let's go back to the simple fundamentals. What is the fundamental that we said from the very beginning of the story? La ilaha illallah. There's only one God. Whether we talked about any of the messengers from the Lord, or any of the prophets that were sent, whether from the commandments of Moses, or Solomon, or Jesus, or Adam, all the way in the story, all of them taught the same message. There's only one God. So let's really put things into perspective so that we understand where we are in this story. We said that we have to stick to understanding the fundamentals of the story, because there are fundamental rules in understanding the whole story when it's put together that we must always pay attention to. The first rule was what? The fundamental. There's only one God. And your Lord Most High has made some creations. Of those are angels who are made of light. But they have no free will. And in addition to that, there are jinns, other races or interdimensional beings that exist and are made by God. They are made, and we know of them as Muslims, and described as smokeless fire. You can understand that in many different ways. They have the ability to appear and disappear and are from a dimension that is different than ours. We, as Muslims, call this dimension the unseen. And we have talked about some strange concepts, but we have said that there are many prophets who will continue to bring books of the Word. And this is the fundamental. And that we, the sons of Adam, live and die, and we will be raised up, and the Lord Most High will judge all of us on our actions, and we'll be rewarded and punished. And there is a heaven and hell, and this for our souls is eternal and everlasting. Now all of that should be beautiful enough in and of itself, just that. As we've continued to tell the tale, that's just the fundamental. But we've always maintained one more fundamental, that everything that is happening and all that is occurring, none of it is coincidental. Everything is happening for a reason. Meaning what? In Arabic we term this the will of God, qadr. All the good and the bad and everything that is happening, God knows all of this. Why? Because as we've always described God, and as we Muslims say Allah, and Allah we've translated to you correctly, as all Muslims will tell you, is translated as the God, the Most High, the one who created you and me and the universe and everything that is in it. We say Allah, the Most High, meaning He is even higher and greater than the universe and all that is in it, because the universe is that which God created. Imagine these concepts. And so as I said, we're going to tell the story in a way that you've never heard before. And so that we're putting it in a light, in a language that you've never heard of it before. In this language called English, using our modern day understanding of the story of the truth. And that's important because the story is so strange that the Lord Most High is trying to tell us. Now, if you don't know about the war and that we are at war, then go back and listen to the beginning of the story. Because our father, Adam, taught us one thing, that Satan, who many people refer to as Lucifer, and how all the cultures of the earth, of the children of Adam, have always known him to be, was a jinn, or one of the alien races, who is a reptilian shapeshifter with wings, horned, ridged, long-tailed royal. And so this knowledge has always been with the Muslims because, well, we'll get to the reasons why. Obviously, if I'm telling you the story of truth and saying I'm a Muslim, what must that mean? Well, as a Muslim, I've been telling you in the tale that the term Muslim means those who have found the story of the truth and say, we are servants of the Lord. We accept the light. And to accept that and be submitting yourself to the Lord Most High, that is called Islam. And that is the term that we have used to describe who in our story. All the leaders from Adam and Noah and all the prophets that went through in our chain of stories that we told, we described all of them as being what? Muslims who submitted themselves in Islam to the religion of the Lord Most High, believing that none should be worshipped except God, and that no image or figure or anything can depict the glory of God. God is more glorious and noble than any image or symbol. God is greater than anything that any creature or species or race on this earth or anywhere else in the universe can even imagine. The only thing we said was that we know the truth of the Lord is what? The light. The light. And so we've referred to followers of the true Lord as people who get the light. The light. And as light is always the description of the truth is the light. And there can never be any doubt in that. And so as I continue to tell the tale, here's where I get to my next disclaimer. We've got to the time in the tale where I must make the disclaimer and say, it is possible, and The Lord Most High only knows. But it is possible that this very moment is the first moment that this story has ever been spoken in the English language. Many people might have come before and possibly spoken parts of the truth. But to understand and hear the story means I'm suggesting that if the story is true and you're searching for the light, then there must be in the story the proof of what? It should answer the questions. What questions? All of them. If the story of truth is ever truly told, it should answer all of the questions. It should be so amazing and incredible, beyond anything you could have imagined, yet be so clearly understandable and verifiable and knowable as the truth, yet surprisingly show and shine the light on all of the questions that you have ever had. But as I'm humbling myself and swearing before you that I am not going to be able to tell you everything, there's no way to tell every detail. But what I will tell you will be the truth. So if you listen to it and pay attention to the signs, there's a chance that you just might be able to solve all the questions that you've ever had. And it's the most beautiful, enlightening experience. And it happens to those who are searching for the light. But as I'm humbling myself and warning you, when you are shined with a little bit of the light and you understand things, oh, the feeling that you get after that is wanting to have so many more questions. So many more questions. Because if you see a true glimmer of the light, then what do you want is to know more of the light. And that is a beautiful thing. That is a beautiful thing. So I've made some disclaimers and said I'm going to send you and tell you some crazy stuff. And man, I always promise it and I'm always going to deliver it as if God is my witness. But I have to get serious, because this is the part of the story where we have to really talk about some really, really bad problems. To recap where we are, and just to understand the situation on our planet, we have been saying from the very beginning to bear heed of the fundamentals, that we are at war of light versus darkness, that the race that God made, called Adam and his descendants, have been warned all the way through all the line that there are other races and Satan is our true enemy, and he will try to deceive and confuse you. And the world around us is filled with darkness, and there is deception and misconception and myths and understandings that are so skewed that everything that should be totally obvious to you as a son of Adam is lost to you. How does that happen? How does that happen? Well, let's describe what was happening in the world where we left off the tail. We said we're telling you the story of the truth and how it was submitted. And we're trying to understand today's question, which was the importance of the great Eid celebration. Sometimes the story is so deep that we forget the question, and so I remind myself and I remind you, are you paying attention to the story? I told you this is the story of truth. Don't take it like I'm speaking some little tale. The truth of the light. But the world is a dark place. And so what is really happening on the world? We said the situation has been dire. Certain bearers of the light have been trying to hold on to the truth. And since we said, let's not get lost in the names and the groups and dividing each other. If I've maintained one thing as a Muslim, I've said that this is a story, not about one group of people or this group of people or that group of people. I'm telling you the story of the truth. And so it must be about what is going on with the sons of Adam. And so some of the children of Adam, the children of Israel, from the tribes, are in disarray. Some are called the Jews. They are those who are following the great and noble prophet, Moses. And here let me give the caveat again. I've always referred to all of the prophets the same way any person who follows the light refers to all of them, with peace and blessings be upon them all. Each of them were holders of the light. So as we saw, each community was trying to follow the guidance and the signs of the fundamentals, that the light of the word would be given to you. And each prophet was to be looked for, and each prophet sent signs. And so the Jews were there, and they had their scriptures, and we know that they studied them, and they were given great understanding and deep, deep knowledge of some very mystical and magical things. And if some of you have started to look and wonder about some of the questions in the mysteries of life, you can see in some of the things that I've told you in the tale, especially of Solomon and what happened after that, a clearer picture of the world around us. And so we know that the children of Israel, some of them are holding the true belief, but they're divided over their scriptures, and they're arguing amongst themselves, and they are debating fundamentals, and they are losing the true word. And it is a sad, sad state. And as a person who calls himself a Muslim, when I say the Jews, you should understand from the way I've told the story, I have no ill will or disrespect to you. You and your people were bearers of the light. But sad as it is, slowly disinformation and misinformation corrupts, as always darkness begins to overshadow the light, and people, as it is, always start to forget or do not remember. But they know that the signs were there. And we saw what happened was that Jesus was sent as a sign, that we said the first fundamental of the chain that we go back to, the sons of Israel. The sons of Israel, Solomon and David and Moses and Joseph and Jacob and the brothers and his sons and Isaac, to the great Father who for the first time said in our story that has been from the beginning to the end only about what? The truth of the light for all of this planet. Abraham vowed, I want from my offspring somebody to remember the truth of the light, that the word is never lost. And he made the challenge for this planet of the truth, which was, remember, what was it in the story? That our Lord, the Lord Most High, the creator of all of the universe, is the only true creator. He is the only one who gives life, and he is the one who takes life. And the deepness of this we have tried to instill. But it is so important for you to understand. And so we get to the situation in the world where the children of Israel have now rejected Jesus, son of Mary. And for my Christians and brothers and sisters, I say the same caveat that I said before. Go back and listen to the way I spoke of Jesus. Peace and blessings be upon him, receiving the light greater than any prophet before him had ever received. Such a beautiful story is the story of Isa, as we call him in Arabic, in the chain of the prophets. And Jesus, son of Mary, came to show that Allah gives life, and then he proved it by his miracle of giving life to Lazarus, along with many other miracles, of course, by the will of the Lord. And we said what happened next was miraculous. That Jesus, son of Mary, ascended. God told him, "You are to ascend." And we found him praying with his head down to the earth after purifying his body with water, which is the great purifier, in Gethsemane. Jesus ascended, and as Muslims, we're telling you from the truth of the revelation, the reality of the light, and the truth of the story, that what? All of the fundamentals will always remain the same. That Jesus, son of Mary, as we know from the revelation of the Lord Most High, was not killed, was not even crucified, although it did appear so. And imagine the beauty of what I'm saying as a Muslim, that Jesus, son of Mary, was not crucified, but he ascended. What a beautiful concept. And I told you the story must get strange, and it must get weirder. And if you're a Christian brother and sister and thinking, "Oh, this is so uncomfortable listening to him talk about Jesus, and Jesus just ascending," but if I know the story of the truth of the light, then I must know about Jesus, son of Mary. If he told the truth to some of his companions that he was not killed, nor was he going to be crucified, that he was going to ascend, and as he told his truest of companions that he was going to return, if some of you know the truth of that light, then I, claiming to be a Muslim, having the truth of the light, must also know that. So I tell you a shocking point. For all of you who may not be calling yourselves Muslims, who might be non-Muslims or Jews or Christians who are hearing this story for the first time, or any of the sons of Adam, Muslims know and have all the information and believe without a shadow of a doubt very clearly that yes, Jesus, son of Mary, shall return. Of course we know the truth of that. Wow. Did I tell you I was going to tell you a tale? Did I tell you I was going to tell you the truth? If you're a Christian and you're hearing this for the first time and you're saying, wait a second, the Muslims know and have the revelation that Jesus is also going to return and they know about that? That must be pretty strange for people who are hearing it for the first time. And so yes, I'm telling you the tale for the first time, in your own English language, in the way you will understand. But don't get too excited, ladies and gentlemen. Jesus returning is not where we are now. That is coming, as Jesus told us and Jesus told you. That is coming at the end of days. If you know that part of the light and we know that part of the light, there's a reason why I'm saying it. The truth is the light, and the light is the truth. There can be no denying it, and everybody must see that clearly. Jesus told all of us that he will be returning in the end of days. And what happened after Jesus? If you listen to the tale and pay attention, because I'm going to tell you what is to come. What happened after Jesus begins to get sad. Of the children of Adam who were upon the light, we have great problems. The people who call themselves the children of Israel, who will call the Jews, with all respect of the light, have denied the last prophet. Now, I mean no disrespect, but anybody who knows the truth of the light can tell you the story properly and say that anybody who calls themselves now Christians know that after this many thousands of years, it's obvious, oh, Jews, were you looking for a prophet who bore the truth? Well, obviously, Jesus, son of Mary, was a true prophet. Right? I mean, you don't need a biblical degree or a theological degree to understand that. You could just look around the world and see, hey, look at all these people who follow Christ, the word of the light that Christ said. There's a bunch of them. Well, obviously he had something, right? I mean, you don't need to be a scholar, so I'm not revealing to you some amazing concept, but it is strange to hear it for the first time. But yes, Muslims believe that Jesus was a prophet of the Lord. But here's where the situations get messy. That amongst the Christians, well, amongst the Jews, there were already those who said, no, this Jesus cannot be a true prophet, and then denied that. Then amongst the Christians, some of them began to misunderstand the very fundamentals. What is the fundamental? Well, Christian brothers and sisters, remember, there is only one God. La ilaha illallah. And we said that Jesus, because of his miraculous birth, breathed of the Lord, may be, of course, referred, and his close relationship to Allah, the Lord Most High. He talked to him and referred to him as a father. And knowing that is so important. Knowing that is so important, and his companions understood it in the way they prayed. Our Father. Our Father, they used to say. And it's an important part of the story. But you could never think that Jesus is the Son of God. Even if you refer to him as the Father. He's not like a manly father. I can't even say the words. Your own words tell you the truth, and the truth is always in the words. If you want to say our Father, he's the one who art in heaven. Hallowed be his name. Don't say what you don't know about the Lord. Suggest that Jesus, son of Mary, of Adam, was God's begotten son. Just the thought of that is so disgusting. The Lord Most High is greater than any creation. And Jesus, the son of Mary, is part of the creation. And so this the Jews could never accept anybody who says that. Nor can anybody who says they are Muslims, people who submit to the one true Lord, people who call themselves following Islam, the true belief of the light that the Lord has said, ever say that God, the Lord Most High, hallowed and great is he beyond anything that he created in the universe, going to actually have a son? That's disgusting. Understand the difference between the body and the soul. We've tried to continue to tell you the difference between the body and the soul. And you are wondering if I'm going to tell you the truth of everything? If I tell you the story of the truth of the light, then I must be able to tell you the truth of your very own soul. But I get too excited, so please be patient with me. But if you're willing to listen and dare to go on, and you're open to the truth of the light, there is a possibility that you might hear something that you've never heard before. But the situation in the world is messy. And amongst the Christians, they've started to say that God the Son, the Spirit, the Trinity, and the triangle is back. And the symbols and the icons, and the iconoclast and other different groups gather. And by the time we get to 312, the Council of Nicaea, we are lost. We are lost. And the fundamental of faith of the Christians is lost, where they don't even know how to say there is only one God anymore. And so we have schisms with the Jews, and we have schisms with the Christians, and some Christians still trying to bear witness to the truth of the light, that there is only one God, and some Jews still saying there is only one God. Of course, holders in the light of every community exist. But we come to a bad situation where there is no house on the earth continuing to worship the Lord Most High. Can you believe this is happening? Nowhere is the true word there properly. The word is lost everywhere. Such a dark, dark place. Let me stop.